All right, real quick, I just wanted to give you a heads up about this, because you might have seen one or two of these videos posted, and what this actually is something that I've been working on over the break. I think I may have mentioned it before the break, before the new year, but I recently started working as a music teacher and an assistant band director at a local charter school, right? At this school, we have what we call an orchestra class. Now, it's not a full on orchestra, right? What I have to work with is a couple of cello players and then several violin players, right? And they have a very wide distribution for their skill level, like what player skill level they're at. I have some that are absolute beginners, like it's the first time that they're even picking up the instrument this year. And then I have some others who are a little bit older, a couple of years older, and they're much more intermediate to advanced, so they have some higher skill caps, right? And it was very difficult because we had a holiday show kind of. We have different groups that went out. We have several, um, and they each had their performance, and we were working on something with the orchestra group, but we couldn't quite get it right, and so they didn't have the best showing. But what it comes down to is it's very difficult to find music that's suitable for such a wide distribution of player skill levels, right? If I have something that an absolute beginner can wrap their head around, that's going to be a little bit too like for the more advanced or immediate intermediate player, it's kind of boring. I mean, you know what I mean? That's to be fair. Like that's what they're feeling. That's what they're thinking. Like I want to play something, that's a little bit more fun than this, right? Um, and then on the a flip side of that, if I have something that actually is fun for them to play, it's too much for the absolute beginner to wrap their head around, right? So I'm caught in between these things, right? But we talked about it before going on break, and I said, well, I'll try to find stuff, but honestly, it's I decided that it would be easier just to write music myself for this group, right? Since I sort of understand, like I said, these specific circumstances and like what they're capable of, and so that's where this came from. And there's actually four pieces total, right? It's a, if you will, a suite of these arrangements for this very specific type of group of players that I got here. And yeah, so because I wanted to give them something that, like I said, would meet some of those immediate sort of requisites. Like it's got to be something that the beginners can handle, but it also has to be fun enough for the older kids to play too, right? Because they're all in this together. So if you and I'll make the playlist visible. I was trying to keep this kind of unlisted and just sort of sharing it with some family and some friends and stuff, right? So it doesn't necessarily fit the brand of the channel and all that. Not that this. I would my hope is to have like this group actually perform this music later on in the spring, at another concert, another performance, right? So, um, oh, but I don't mind sharing it. I just didn't know how much, if anybody would really be interested in it. But if you do see the videos, or if you do listen to it, you'll notice that what happens is in the lower register instruments, right, like the cello and this third violin. Since I don't have any viola players, right, we don't actually have any viola instruments, so I come up with a violin part that is I'm kind of using to substitute, right, as a viola part. So I'm trying to keep the instruments within specific octaves, but that's what I have to work with. But in the low end is where I have those absolute beginner players, right? So in the cellos and then also in this third violin part, I have some of the beginners and some of the skill levels that are not quite there, not quite intermediate yet, but getting there. So I had to write stuff that's like, okay, they'll be able to play it, right? So you'll notice that the bass, right, these parts that are moving along the chord progression, essentially, they're very straightforward and easy, right? Like there's not a whole lot going on here. I got like half notes and some dotted quarter notes here stacked on top of each other, and that just kind of like gives me the foundation for each chord, right? Um, the goal is for them to one be able to like start to find these notes on the instrument, and then also to get chops, right? Because you gotta work on that. You gotta get your chops being just the ability to just pick up the instrument and actually play it, right? Because when you're an absolute beginner, you don't have that yet, so it's very awkward, right? You have to get over the awkwardness by playing the stuff, and then eventually it feels comfortable and you can just pick up the instrument and play, and that's where you can start like, okay, now I want to learn this piece of music, right? um, so that's what the those parts are written for, and then the upper parts that are going to have the melodies, right? These are for, like I said, the more intermediate to advanced players. So the subdivisions get a little further along here into eighth notes. I have some interesting rhythms, and there's a lot of scalar sort of patterns and arpeggios and things. It's also my first attempt at something completely original, an arrangement for strings, right? It's not my instrument. I don't play it normally. I haven't grown up playing it or anything like that. So, I'm hoping that that my ideas are going to work. It's a bit of an experiment in that regard, even for me, right? Like I'm gonna find out if I understand this well enough to have a group actually play, something that I've written. So that's gonna be fun. What I won't go into too much, detail about it. That's why these videos were posted, though. If anybody was wondering, right? I just want to offer an explanation because it's very random. It just sort of like appears out of nowhere, and it's like, hey, what's this? Um, but that's what's going on. It's my students. I'm trying to give them something that they can use um, to have a good performance next time around, and also to make sure everybody can get on board and everybody will be able to play their parts. So if I'm able to, I'm gonna try. I should be able to. It's just a matter of on my end if I'm gonna be able to carry through with it. But I would like to try and record the performance. Either if I can just do audio, okay, I'll just do audio. But if I can do audio and video, I'm definitely gonna try to do that. And so if and this won't be until like April or May, so this is like months and months away. And they're gonna work on this until then. But if I manage to get that recording, I might be able to to share it here with you guys, so you can see what I'm talking about. They're a very awesome group. We have like the orchestra group. We have band. We have the high school band, a middle school band. We have mariachis. We have some kids that like to play electric guitar. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, right? But all the kids are really awesome, and yeah, it'd be cool to be able to share some of that with you guys, just so you can see. But I definitely, try to do what I can to help them out. So so we'll see, all right. But I just wanted to give you a heads up because some people were like, "What the heck is going on with this?" But that's what's going on with it, though. So yeah, we'll see if we manage to pull this off, and have a cool show. Then I'll I'll post my documentation of it here on this channel too. So